All right, guys, welcome back to the channel where I sit with you every single week and we stack Bitcoin together. Guys, today I want to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a video. I wouldn't call it a rebuttal. I would just call it a commentary on this guy, Ben McKenzie, that's been doing the rounds lately, pushing his, I don't know if it's his book or a documentary. I think it's a documentary, saying that crypto, Bitcoin is all just a big scam, that anyone that's in it is basically a moron, and that you need to stay as far away from crypto as possible. And so I've seen some of these clips going viral of his. I saw that he did a Jon Stewart's podcast, and now this podcast came out. And so I've seen a few clips that I've noticed he has no idea what he's talking about, and he's saying things that just don't make any sense. And so I want to clarify a few things on his comments. I don't think it's fair that this guy just goes running around saying a bunch of nonsense and not getting any pushback. What I've noticed is that he's on podcasts with people that also don't know anything about Bitcoin, don't know anything about cryptocurrency industry. And so, I'd like to see this guy, Ben McKenzie, have a conversation with somebody like Jack Mallers, have a conversation with somebody like Charles Hoskinson, have a conversation with somebody like Michael Saylor. There's so many guys out there that can have Lynn Alden. There's so many people out there that can educate this guy on this subject. And to me, so far from what I've seen, he seems to not know much about what he's talking about. So I wanted to do a reactionary video on this today and kind of give you guys my thoughts on his comments. So, let's get right into this today.
Every heterosexual man has a group thread called Du Bois. Uh-huh. And during the pandemic, Du Bois thread was popping.
Right.
There was a lot of crypto talk, a lot of BTC, a lot of Ethereum, a lot of cryptocurrency talk. But what I am interested in talking to you about is what got its hooks and fangs into even me during that period of time was this sense of not even necessarily greed, but am I missing out on something?
Totally.
Is there something I don't get?
Yeah.
Money has always been this elusive, weird thing to me. This kind of makes sense. Do I need to look into this? Am I dumb if I don't look into this?
Totally.
What was it titillating within you?
Yeah, it was
beyond boredom.
It was absolutely that aspect. I've always been fascinated by money. I was never good at math, so I was never going to be very good. So I was never going to be an economist. But I love the behavioral side of economics. There's this guy, Robert Shiller, who's a Nobel Prize winning economist, who's very much influenced my work. And he talks about these things called naturally occurring Ponzi schemes. And it's basically the price of a speculative asset goes up, way beyond what it could possibly be worth in terms of its utility.
Hold on. Before he goes any further, that comment of naturally occurring Ponzi scheme, I'm trying to wrap my head around that term. I don't know Robert Shiller. I don't know his work, but I can tell you from my research and understanding, a Ponzi scheme, there's nothing naturally occurring about a Ponzi scheme. There is a central figure or someone within the Ponzi that starts the Ponzi and that promises or guarantees returns if you give them your money. Or if you entrust them with your wealth, they will guarantee returns. This is how Bernie Madoff operated. This is how the original Charles Ponzi operated. That is the definition of a Ponzi scheme. So this comment of a naturally occurring Ponzi scheme, or he's already making a connection between Bitcoin and a naturally Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general as naturally recurring Ponzi schemes. Again, I don't understand the connection there between what's natural and what's a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme, there's nothing natural about it. There's no guarantee in Bitcoin that you're going to make a return. Everybody knows that. There is no central figure that is telling you, like Satoshi Nakamoto's not running around telling people you're going to make X return if you give me your money. That would be a Ponzi scheme, right? There is, I've been in this space for a while already. I have never seen anyone, and I'm trying to think about this. I haven't seen anyone guarantee returns to anybody in the Bitcoin space. I have seen people speculate. I have seen people say, I think Bitcoin's going to 1 million, 5 million. I think Bitcoin's going to 0. I've seen the speculation on both sides, people giving their opinion on where they think Bitcoin's going to go. But I haven't seen in Bitcoin specifically anyone say I'm sure that there are scammers out there that say, if you give me your Bitcoin, I'll turn it into $1 million, whatever. That's obviously a Ponzi scheme, or that's obviously a scam, but that's not Bitcoin. Those are fraudsters within Bitcoin, right? That's like, Bernie Madoff was a Ponzi scheme, and he leveraged the stock market. He said, if you give me your money, I will put it in the stock market, and I know how to manage the return so well that I'll get you X return, guaranteed. That doesn't mean the entire stock market was a scam or a Ponzi scheme. That's the connection he's making here, is that if there are fraudsters in Bitcoin, right, then that means that Bitcoin is a fraud, and that doesn't make any sense. All right. Or you can even look at it as, Charles Ponzi said, give me your money. And the connection he's making is, well, because he used money, dollars, then those dollars were fraudulent. No, the person that made that guarantee to you was fraudulent. But in Bitcoin, there is no one that I know of that's making any guarantees. And if I'm wrong about that, guys, comment it below. I'd love to know who it is that's saying that they're guaranteeing returns on Bitcoin. All right, let's keep going.
And people see that price going up, and they're like, oh, it's going up, I should buy in. They buy in, which sends the price up further, and then more people. And then these things can go on for a very, very long time. Yeah. And as I looked at crypto, because crypto doesn't do any of the three things that money's supposed to do, money, medium of exchange, unit of account, store of value, it can't be a medium of exchange because the technology sucks. It can only process 5 to 7 transactions a second. Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. So again, this guy's already making another comment that doesn't make any sense. So he is saying that cryptocurrencies cannot be a medium of exchange because they do not do more than 5 to 7 transactions per second. Firstly, there are cryptocurrencies that do more than 5 to 7 transactions per second. There are tons. Solana, Tron, Bitcoin Lightning Network. There are a ton of options out there to do more transactions per second than even what Visa can do. So that already doesn't make any sense. But beyond that, he's blank. First of all, using cryptocurrency as a blanket statement across all cryptocurrencies, which again tells me he has no idea what he's talking about, right? Not all cryptocurrencies are claiming to be a form of money. Some of them are smart contract blockchains that are specific to making smart contracts, like Ethereum, and they have tokens on top of their blockchain or within their blockchain, right, that are specific to certain types of contracts. So again, that doesn't make any sense. And then even beyond that, just basic definitions, right? When someone says, when someone's categorizing something as a medium of exchange, the definition is, well, how many transactions per second can it do? Because if that were the case, then gold would never have been considered a money, because the transactions per second are basically like extremely slow, if any transactions per second can be done, right? Bars of gold going around the world is very slow, right? So that is not, the definition of medium of exchange is not how many transactions per second can you do. Visa is not a money. Visa is an operator within money, right? Visa does transactions per second. That's not what the definition of of medium of exchange is. Medium of exchange is, can you use this asset or this commodity as a medium of exchange? Yes or no? And Bitcoin already has been proven to be used as a medium of exchange. You can trade goods and services for it. It's already happened in the past. I can send my Bitcoin to someone or anywhere in the world. Someone that's requesting Bitcoin as a form of payment is willing to accept it as a form of payment. I can send them my Bitcoin and they'll sell me whatever goods and service they have, right? So that's already been proven. So I'm not sure what he's referring to here. And again, he's conflating the two terms of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, two completely different things, right? You can't just say cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and use them interchangeably. That already tells me you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But it's obvious he's referring to Bitcoin because he mentions 5 to 7 transactions per second, which is Bitcoin's base layer. Now, we can do more transactions per second. There is the Lightning Network that's built on top of the Bitcoin base layer. You're still transacting Bitcoin. The only thing is the technology has been upgraded in a way, or there's basically another type of application that's been added to the Bitcoin blockchain that can allow for thousands of transactions per second, more than what even Visa and MasterCard can do. So let's be clear on that.
Visa and MasterCard can do 24,000. So it just can't process transactions fast enough. It can't serve as a unit account or store of value because the price goes up and down.
The volatility.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another thing. It cannot, he's saying it cannot be considered a unit of account or store of value because of its volatility. Okay, for unit of account, you can consider Bitcoin as a unit of account because it's already been done, right? Someone can price something in Bitcoin. Steak and Shake is doing it now. They're pricing things in Bitcoin. They're selling burgers and fries for Bitcoin. I went and bought a burger and fry from Steak and Shake with using Bitcoin. Okay, so that's already not true. The volatility aspect of it, yeah, it is currently volatile, but basically all currencies globally are volatile against the dollar, right? And the dollar, is constantly getting debased, for the holders of the dollar. But it is the best, quote unquote, store of value in comparison to all the other currencies around the world. So many people that live in Argentina, live in Egypt, live in Turkey, where their currencies are volatile, they still use those currencies as a unit of account. It's not like they price things in dollars all around the world. Right? They still use their currencies in day-to-day commerce, and it's just as volatile as Bitcoin. I think the Turkish lira is down like 98% against Bitcoin in the last 5-6 years. I'd have to look into that, but either way, all these currencies are extremely volatile. So what do these people do in these other countries? They try to exchange their currencies for dollars, their local currencies for dollars as a store of value. Now, what do Americans do in the US when they have dollars? They can't really look at any other currency. Where do we store our value? Because dollars don't hold their value. And that's proven across, where we live in a debt-based system, number one. Number two, inflation is, the Federal Reserve is always trying to reach a base level of 2% inflation, meaning guaranteed your money is losing value up to 2% every single year. Goods and services are getting more expensive by 2% every single year against your dollar. So automatically, that is not a store of value. You can't store wealth in something that's losing at least 2% every single year. And by the way, guys, it's never 2%. The amount of new money that gets injected into the system is much more than 2%. The rise of cost of goods and services is much more than 2%. Typically, it's probably around 8 to 9% if we're really looking at the rate of debasement. So, not sure what he's saying, that it's not a store of value when we're considering Bitcoin, and if that's his definition, then dollars aren't money either. Dollars are currency, right? It's not a store of value. So what do we consider dollars? I'm not sure. So we have to look at at a money that is hard, right? And that's where gold comes in. But then that goes back to the medium of exchange argument. If his definition is transactions per second, then gold isn't a money either. So, this guy's all over the place. He doesn't know, again, what he's talking about. And already 4 minutes into this, are we? Yeah, 4 minutes into this guy's already said two things that are just, tells me he has not done a lick of research. This guy hasn't spent more than 200 hours reading anything about Bitcoin. Not even. I would say less. I would say 50 hours, man.
So if it's not money, what is it? It's an investment.
Right.
You put money into it, hope to make money off of it through no work of your own. That's literally an investment, like the definition of an investment under American law.
Sitting, hodling.
Hodling, exactly. Yeah. It's called the Howey test, and it's got 4 prongs. It's investment of money in a common enterprise.
I'm curious what this guy thinks of gold. That's what you do with gold. You invest in gold, you buy gold out of no work of your own. You didn't do anything. You just bought the gold, you sat it there, and then you hope that it either went up in value or at least retained its value over time, right? So, yeah, that is an investment, but it's also a store of value. And has the longest history of being considered money in the entire world.
With the expectation of profit to be derived from the efforts of others. And it's like super broadly defined because people have had schemes to like make money for you since Ponzi schemes are as old as, I mean, you know, it's literally 100 years old. Sure. Ponzi, they actually predated Ponzi, but whatever. So when celebrities were out there selling this like loosely regulated financial product with no understanding, no offense to Matt Damon, but he doesn't know shit about blockchain.
History is filled with almosts. With those who almost adventured, who almost achieved, but ultimately, for them it proved to be too much.
But you were watching the commercial. We got to play the footage.
But ultimately, for them it proved to be too much. Fortune favors the brave.
I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck does Matt Damon know about cryptocurrency?
This guy thinks he's
Master, but you've been to Hollywood. You're looking for salvation and morality at Deadline.com.
I'm sorry, I should have implied
You feel IMDb.com will be your salvation.
It's just that I know the standards are low, but like if you're hawking a financial product, and by the way, you're not disclosing how much you've been paid for it, which is one of the problems, right? And then people lose money on that investment, which a lot of people did on a lot of different celeb-backed things. Like Kim Kardashian did one and had to settle with the SEC, and there's all these different people.
Yeah,
like
this I totally agree with. There are tons of cryptocurrency rug pulls out there. There are tons of scams and frauds out there that have been proven to be absolute garbage. You know, that goes all the way through to Melania coin and Trump coin and all that bullshit that came out. None of those have the real fundamentals. But to make the comparison of that to Bitcoin, that tells me this guy has no freaking clue what he's talking about. These are completely different projects, right? They're just using the initial code of Bitcoin and then doing whatever they want with it. And then at the same time, there are centralized figures. There is someone that holds the majority of those coins and can drop them at the drop them whenever they want, right? And plunge the price. That absolutely exists in the cryptocurrency space. Absolutely. But to say that is there's been frauds since the beginning of time, right? That doesn't mean that everything in cryptocurrency is a fraud, right? That doesn't mean that Bitcoin is a fraud, okay? I'll go back to, I'll give you a car comparison. If I bought a car today that was a lemon and I start driving it around and it's garbage and it breaks down on me every other day, that doesn't mean that all cars are garbage. This blanket statement is just lazy, man. It's lazy. He saw one issue in crypto, and he said, "Oh, this whole space is garbage. This whole space is garbage." Maybe this guy lost money in crypto. I'm not sure what his story is, but it sounds like to me that he saw one issue within the space and just decided to say this whole space is garbage, and that doesn't make any sense. If everyone thought like this, humanity would still be, using rocks and lighting fires under trees to survive and keep warm. This guy has zero innovation or entrepreneurial spirit, in my opinion.
It's just wrong. It's wrong. Sure. It's gross. You also have a lot of money, so why do you need to sell other people on this thing that you haven't really done your homework on and is shady? And yeah, do better.
You have a pretty brilliant montage that you show in the documentary, and I want us to go to it. You're seeing a level of celebrity that backs essentially blue chip companies. And the feeling that I got when I was watching those commercials in that moment is, oh, this is too big to fail. Yeah. This is here.
Yeah.
Like if Tom Brady, Shaquille O'Neal, Steph Curry, and Matt Damon are talking about Toyota, it's here to stay.
Right.
Like this thing as an idea, as an entity. How do you reconcile the feeling that people feel watching that and then how you felt watching it on the couch?
I think it's really important to understand what's happening. Why are celebrities hired to hawk products? Because people trust them. They have a relationship with them through the TV, through the movie screen. And so there's a trust that they have that they're then imputing into the thing that they're selling.
This has always happened.
And it's a very deliberate play by the cryptocurrency industry. Crypto is notorious.
This comment bothers me. It's a very deliberate play by the cryptocurrency. Every single industry leverages the fame of celebrity, the likeness of celebrity to sell products, to sell their companies, right? Every single one. Now, to be clear, I have yet to see any, and I'm trying to think of this as, I have yet to see a Bitcoin-only commercial hawking Bitcoin to go buy Bitcoin with celebrity. I have seen exchanges say, use my exchange, Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken. Sure, those are exchanges. That's not Bitcoin, right? So this comment that like, oh, this is a very smart play by the cryptocurrency industry. They know exactly what they're doing. They're shady. Every single industry across the planet has always used celebrity to push a product or to push their service. So nothing new here. Nothing scammy, quote unquote, about that. It's always been.
Bitcoin people are notorious for saying Bitcoin has no marketing department, right? Like there's no central person in charge of it, right? It's a decentralized ledger. But crypto is really just a story. It's just a story that
interchangeably using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. He just said Bitcoin says that nobody has that Bitcoin doesn't have a marketing team. Bitcoin doesn't have, a central group that is true. And then he goes on to say cryptocurrency is just a story. Bro, are you talking about cryptocurrency or are you talking about Bitcoin? Which one is it? You talking about cryptocurrencies? Or are you talking about Solana? Are you talking about what on earth are you talking about? I don't even think he knows what he's talking about. Bitcoin does not have a marketing team. Let's be very clear. Again, I haven't seen any Bitcoin specific commercials. I have seen people pushing their personal products for Bitcoin. But I have yet to see any, and maybe they exist, and that's fine too. Even if they did exist, those are people within Bitcoin that are pushing their products and services. Okay, I might go out there and start promoting, a Bitcoin consulting service. That doesn't mean, and then I turn into a fraudster. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin's fraudulent. It just means I was the bad actor, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just a tool. It's like saying I got a hammer in my house and I go and use it to kill somebody. That hammers are bad all of a sudden? No, it's a tool. You can use it to build a freaking house. You can use it to hang things up on the wall, or you can use it to kill somebody. That doesn't mean hammers are freaking bad. I mean, the things that this guy is saying are so I don't want to be rude, but they're just very basic, like low level thinking, brother. These arguments are so surface level. All right, let's keep going.
That you're going to make money on it, that whatever ails you is going to be fixed by crypto if you invest in it.
What's their core story? You've said, quote, Bitcoin is a story that will last as long as people believe in it. So what's the story and what's their core pitch?
The story can be anything that anyone wants it to be. Like at the end, it's sort of a projection of the hopes and dreams of the investors, I would say. Sorry, there's two groups. There's the normal investors, whether they have a ton of money or not, whether they're institutional or not, and then there's the criminals. Yeah. So cryptocurrency has incredible utility for criminals, and we could talk about that. But for the regular people that are buying it, I interviewed many of them for the doc for this particular scheme called Celsius,
mm-hmm.
which ultimately went bankrupt, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. Regular people.
Yeah.
And so I posted on Reddit and met these guys. They were all guys, literally every single one of them.
Sure.
And you would ask them questions like, what did you, why'd you invest? And this one guy, just absolutely heartbreaking, a fellow Texan, I think he worked construction or something, really salt of the earth dude. And he had a bunch of money in it and he lost it. And he was saying all he wanted was to be able to take more time off of work and spend more time with his daughter.
It was heartbreaking.
And it was
it was super heartbreaking.
I have kids, and you just your heart breaks for them.
Mostly just a shot at freedom, a shot at a little bit more claiming of my time back, and that time I can't get with my daughter back. I just had so many plans,
I'm sorry.
I feel like I let her down big time.
The thing that's really hard.
Yeah, here's what I'll say about that. I for sure feel for the guy. It sucks. You know, I don't know his story. I don't know what he did, where he put his money. But I guarantee you he wasn't self-custodying Bitcoin in his own private wallet. Right? It seems to me he was on Celsius or one of these companies that went bankrupt. I'll tell you my story. I had money. I did not have any money in Celsius. I had money in BlockFi because they promised a certain amount of interest payment that I liked. And I was like, okay, that's good. I get to stake my coins on here and get interest on these coins that was like 10, 11, 12%, which seemed incredible. And then I left money on the exchange at FTX. And this is why when I do my weekly videos with you guys, I tell you, once you get to 0.1, get your money out. I'm sorry, 0.01. Get your money out of Bitcoin. Out of the exchange. Get your money out of the exchange and put it in your private wallet. Do not wait more, right? Because you never know with any of these exchanges, and that's from personal experience. Okay, I lost money in BlockFi. I lost money at FTX. Both of them went under. Is that Bitcoin's fault? Is that the tool of Bitcoin's fault? Absolutely not. These are companies that are providing certain services around Bitcoin. Okay? Again, I'll go back to that car reference. If I buy a car and I take it to a shop and that shop says, yeah, I changed out all your parts or whatever and I fixed everything, and then I drive off the shop and all my car falls apart. Oh, you're kidding me. What happened here? Here we go. Sorry. The car falls apart. Is it the car manufacturer's fault? Is it, is it the car part manufacturer's fault? No. It's not. It's the fault of the shop that I took it to. It's the fault of the shop that took advantage of me. And it's my fault for not learning more about this shop before I took my car there. Right? I take full responsibility for what happened with BlockFi and FTX. I didn't look into them at all. I just put some money in there because I thought it's going to make me more money. Ultimately, I did zero research, and I should have. It was lazy of me. And I learned a lot from that experience. I should have taken more time to learn about it. And actually, after all of that debacle is when I really dove deep into Bitcoin to try to understand this technology further. And I saw that there's a clear divide between Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and then all these other services around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, right? What they offer. Okay? So, again, I understand this guy's point. Yes, it's very sad. It sucks that people get scammed. But that happens all the time. And it's not the fault of the tool that people are scamming that person for. Okay? I have a friend of mine that recently, I just spoke to him a few weeks ago, and he said he got scammed out of a few $1,000s via his bank account, that they said that they needed to update his bank account. I don't know, some crazy thing there. Nothing to do with cryptocurrency, nothing to do with Bitcoin, actually dollars, right? He got scammed through his bank account. And he ended up sending cash to I don't know who because, whatever, he got scammed. He got scammed for the dollars. Now, does that mean that the dollars are fraudulent? No. And that connection is what this guy continues to do throughout this entire interview. And what he continues to do throughout all his interviews, which again tells me he has no clue what he is talking about. And I cannot stand that because it's irresponsible of him to go around acting like he knows what he's talking about when he obviously doesn't. He doesn't even know what the definition of a medium of exchange is. He doesn't know what the definition of money is. Yet he's going around pretending to be some economist and telling you how things actually work in the real world and that this is a scam. Dude, you're completely out of your space here, brother. And I have no problem with somebody going out here and making these arguments or making arguments against crypto and Bitcoin. I have zero problem with that. But make some well-informed, educated arguments, not these BS arguments that don't even connect to the actual underlying asset of Bitcoin. Right? Sorry, I'm a little bothered and peeved by this guy. All right, let's keep going.
One of the things that's really hard about crypto is that there's only maybe like 5% of the population, 5 or 6% of the population that's really into it. And then there's maybe another 10% that's like kind of playing around with it, like has ever bought it. So you're talking about like 1 in 6 Americans, but like really 1 in 20 that are like really into it. The thing is, you're never going to be able to convince them that it's not a good investment. I asked all of the victims of Celsius, like the same question, do you still believe in cryptocurrency? Some of these people have lost their life savings. Every single one of them said yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I didn't have to edit it. I mean, we did edit it for time, but like every single one said yes. And they would have different reasons.
Again, this guy, he is conflating exchanges with cryptocurrencies and in general. He's just blanket statement cryptocurrency. You say, oh, do you still believe in cryptocurrencies? Which ones, bro? Do I believe in Fartcoin? Do I believe in Pepe Coin? Or do I believe in something like a Chainlink, Ethereum, a Solana, with actual team and backing and devs, right? These things, you cannot just conflate them. So again, number one, he's talking about cryptocurrencies in a blanket statement, which is wrong. If he did just a lick of research, a lick of educating himself on this topic for real, he would know that. So he would know not to go around saying that, because that's a clear indicator that you haven't done any research into this industry. That's one. And number two, he's also conflating Celsius with all cryptocurrencies and exchanges. I'll tell you this. I believe Celsius had a coin or a token at one point. I'm not sure if he's saying that these people bought into that token. It doesn't seem like it, though. It seems like they were actually using the platform of Celsius, which again is different. I'll go back to that the car example. Celsius is like taking your car to a shop and leaving your car there. It's not the car. So to say, oh, you took your car to the shop and the car's gone, it got stolen, and the shop's no longer there. Do you still believe in cars, bro? You really still gonna buy another car? Are you crazy? That's the argument that this guy's making. It's so dumb. I hate to say it. It's just a dumb argument, man. Oh, I'm fucking frustrated, to be honest with you.
They would say, well, that one was a scam, but Bitcoin I believe in, which is a big sort of theme. But like,
yeah, because these people know their
when
stuff.
I say it's a projection of their hopes and dreams, I really mean that. I really think that people are, and we should talk about like why people get into crypto and gambling and prediction markets. It's like we financialized everything, and we're pushing it so hard at dudes, really specifically at young men.
There's two things that pull you in on the internet if you're a straight dude: money shit or pervy shit. Now, let's not focus on the latter. Let's talk about the former. Right. And I think at the core of the money shit, yes, one component of it is greed, but there's this other component, which comes from a very real place of, I have to have agency over my life.
Yeah.
And I am responsible for the circumstances in my life. And society may be cold to me. Nobody is going to come to save me.
Right.
I feel like the institutions that are in place, my employer, the government, the state, these institutions have failed me. There has to be a better way.
Totally.
And what spoke to me about cryptocurrency and got me to waste endless hours during the pandemic and not be with my loved ones was that idea.
Right.
That there has to be a better way.
Yes.
And I'm a fool if I don't take the agency to explore and to start to study this.
Yeah. The crypto story is really simple. It says, the system as it exists now, the regulated financial system, our global financial system, sucks. It's like deeply unfair. It's hard to navigate. You don't have agency over your own life. And they say that statement, and who agrees with that? Everyone.
Sure.
Literally everyone agrees with that, except for maybe some billionaires, right? They'll have their different reasons as to why it sucks, but like they're gonna agree with the first part.
Yeah. Everybody but 6 people.
Right. And then the second thing is Bitcoin fixes this, which is literally like a meme at this point. Like it's one of the things people say. So it's a really simple argument. And I understand its appeal. I do, because I agree with the first one. The system sucks, and we should hate the banks.
There's been so many different ways in which the big banks and the federal government have basically run amok and screwed over, not Wall Street, but Main Street.
Right.
But the caveat you give, though, is, and it's really interesting, I don't have the answer here, but you go, it's built on trust and it's backed by the government, and we all trust the government. But how do you reconcile?
We don't then now, though, right? That's exactly. I think one of the things that gave cryptocurrency so much currency is that there's such deep distrust of the government. And I think one maybe simpler way of looking at it is, it's not that I'm pro-government, it's that I'm pro-democracy working to actually, effectuate change through our government. But the problems with our government are really based on the problems with our supposed democracy, where the will of the people isn't expressed. Like the Supreme Court is not expressing the majority's opinion on a whole host of issues because the Republicans rigged it. The Senate,
that argument is ridiculous. That Republicans rigged it. No, Republicans and Democrats rigged it. Let's be honest. The entire system is basically, and this isn't a political show, and I'm apolitical when it comes to this topic, but I just want to be very clear. If you think that the Republicans and the Democrats aren't up there working together, then you don't know anything about this system. It's us versus them. Let's just be very clear. And them having us divided all the time and arguing and saying, oh, it's Republicans, no, it's Democrats. That's what they want. That's exactly what they want from us. They want us to keep the infighting. When realistically up there, the Democrats, they all get along. They're all on each other's boards. They're all paying each other. They all have connections. They all network. And then they go out and they put on a show and say, oh, I hate this guy. I hate that guy. I hate this guy. Yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. It's not true. They all work together. They all benefit from each other. They're all incentivized to do so. 50 Cent says it. This just came to mind now, but 50 Cent, he'll start beefs with people. And he's gone out and publicly said, like, dude, I started a beef with you so you can get popularity. Respond to me. I'm helping you. I'm helping you get to this next level. And we're both going to make money on this. Right? It's the same concept. So then people start talking about it. People start reposting it. It starts to go viral. And realistically, 50 Cent doesn't have beef with that person. He's just throwing him a bone to see, hey, grab onto this, and we're going to make money together on this. And that's it. What do you think they do? That's base level stuff. These guys up there are doing the same thing. Okay, so the Republicans already tells me this guy, he's still brainwashed in his world of, yeah, it's really the Republicans versus there. No, bro. It's us versus them. And they've taken advantage of the system. He's absolutely right about that. They are. They're taking advantage of the people here. Taxes are crazy. Inflation is through the roof all the time. Money's constantly being debased. People can't afford homes. Price of cars is extremely high. Just anything. Compare the cost of living with the salaries and wages of today versus 50 years ago, and you'll see the difference is ridiculous. And that is because over time, the government has taken advantage of the people. It's always happened and it always will happen. And at some point, we've got to take the power back. And the most peaceful way to do that is by opting out of their system. And their system is dollars. Their system is fiat currencies. And if you are able to give a middle finger to their currencies and say, we're going to use our own. We're going to use one that you can't control, that you can't do anything with, and that's completely sovereign. What are they going to do? They're going to have to either opt out of that system, their own system, and opt into ours and say, all right, we're going to have to play in your game now, or make it illegal. And so far, they haven't made it illegal. So I don't know what, this guy, that was my own little rant, but, I agree with him on some points here, but yeah.
Constitution is set up doesn't represent the majority of the population. The majority of senators don't represent the majority of the population. But the only way to really change that, in my opinion, is to strengthen the democracy so that it actually represents the will of the people.
So it sounds like the sell of Bitcoin fundamentally was an anti-government, anti-big bank position. So you got super into Bitcoin 2020. You and I, we were both super online, and we got into Bitcoin. Then in 2022, we had crypto winter. Bitcoin went from $69,000 in 2021 to under $16,000 in 2022. Your book comes out in 2023. You go on the IToldYouSo.com book tour.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Happily.
SBF goes to prison. Head of Binance goes to prison. The whole
guy.
thing was blowing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking go.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
Then in
Clean the system,
2024,
'cause
after
that's what
Donald
needs to
Trump was
happen.
elected, Bitcoin shoots up to over 100K. What happened to make the price go up?
So remember the Robert Schiller thing, the naturally occurring Ponzi schemes? So because Bitcoin doesn't do anything in the sense that like it's not a currency that you can actually like I can't go to my neighbor Dale.
Bitcoin doesn't do anything. Again, a really dumb comment. Bitcoin does do things. Bitcoin does things that regular currencies couldn't do. It naturally is deflationary. It has a capped supply. It does things that other currencies cannot do. Fiat currencies cannot be naturally capped, cannot be capped, because governments and central banks can print it at will and just inject new currency into the market. So there's that. There's also the fact that you can send Bitcoin anywhere, anytime, to any part of the world, direct to whatever person, whoever you want to send it to, okay? Immediately, right? There is no third party that's involved. That's the first time that that's ever happened, where we don't need a third party to control and to double check and to take fees and to do all their service. We don't need that any longer. We can send value direct to whoever we want at any time. If that isn't valuable, I don't know what is, right? You also have the ability to be fully self-sovereign. If I'm in, for example, Cuba, right? And I have some wealth, I have something. If I'm able to put that wealth into Bitcoin, I can literally leave the country with nothing, just memorizing 12 seed phrases, or my seed phrase, 12 keywords in my head, go across the pond to the US, open up a laptop, get internet, plug in my seed phrase, and there's all my wealth, right? I don't have to worry about where do I put my money? How do I go to a bank and take my money out? Let me tell you something. If you go today to a bank and you tell them I want to withdraw $15,000 from my bank account, they will stop you and they'll ask you, what do you need it for? What are you doing this withdrawal for? Who is it for? Where are you taking it? They ask you all these questions like, hey, it's my freaking money. I'm asking you for my money back. I want to have it in my house, in my pocket, whatever. Why are you asking me all these questions? Because ultimately, they control your money, right? And so these are valuable things that someone like this guy, Ben McKenzie, who never lived in a third world country, doesn't know what it is to be an immigrant, doesn't know what it is to live in a country where your government explodes to a point where they start to control and ration the types of food that you get, the currency that you get. I mean, go to Venezuela. Venezuela, you need a barrel of Venezuelan pesos to go ahead and buy a gallon of milk. Why? Simple. Because the government inflated their money away. They controlled the currency and they printed currency whenever they needed it. They inflated the money to basically nothing, and the people who had their money sitting in the bank account, their money went to zero. It's worthless anywhere in the world. They could have avoided that issue by taking the money that they made and investing it in Bitcoin and just letting it sit there. Right? They couldn't invest it. They could have invested in dollars too. But where do they put those dollars? They put it in a bank account in Venezuela, and that bank account doesn't let them. These are valuable things that you can control your wealth and your value. The fact that this guy doesn't see the value in all those things tell me he hasn't lived a real life. Like this guy, I don't know what kind of privileged life he's had, but go around the world, brother. Go see other countries and how other people have to preserve wealth. So to say that Bitcoin has no value because it's not tangible, you can't. I think goes on to say here what you can't use it.
Buy a bagel with Bitcoin.
He can't go buy a bagel with Bitcoin. Brother, I went to Steak and Shake and bought a burger, fries, and a Coke with Bitcoin. So what are you talking about?
You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Because you can't actually buy anything, it has to have some other utility, but mainly it's just a speculative instrument. It's just something people gamble on, betting the price is going to go up or down. So Trump embraced crypto. So Trump, as recently as 2019, called Bitcoin a scam.
Bitcoin, it just seems like a scam.
My personal theory is that that's because it was
Which,
cutting
by the
in on
way,
his corporate.
just to be very clear, is typical of anyone that's starting to get into Bitcoin. When I first got into Bitcoin, first time I heard about Bitcoin, I thought it was a scam. I didn't do any research into it. Someone told me about it. I was like, dude, don't even talk to me about that Bitcoin scammy stuff. I don't even want to hear it. And that buddy of mine was like, nah, man, just watch this documentary. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's got some really cool aspects to it. And then I started to learn about it and get into it. But everyone that first hears about Bitcoin thinks it's a scam without doing any research. That's your typical natural response to Bitcoin.
Business.
Doesn't necessarily
Trump
mean anything.
is a real estate guy, and
Sure.
There's a lot of money laundering in real estate, and I think he was kind of jealous that crypto. He wasn't getting his cut.
Getting in on his action.
Yeah, he wasn't getting his cut. Yeah, I was getting on his action. And then in 2024, in the summer, he really embraced it fully. There were rumors before, but he spoke at the Bitcoin conference. I show a clip of it in the movie.
Have a good time with your Bitcoin and your crypto and everything else that you're playing with.
And he obviously doesn't know anything about it, but he knows he can figure out a way to make money off of this. And the price starts going up. It had been in the toilet, as you said, and it starts going up. And then it just surged. And so by the time he's in office, it's or somewhere around there, it's 120,000 or something like that.
How is Donald Trump and his family making money off of crypto? Because I've seen the $Trump meme coin, but what else is there?
Sure, yeah. So there's the meme coins that he did and Melania did. Think of those as Ponzi schemes, effectively, right? You're going to try to release the coin, you own 99% of it or some huge percentage of it. If people put money into it, then the price goes up, and at a certain point you just sell all of it and you take whatever money you can get.
This is true. He's absolutely right about that. I hated the fact that Trump dropped the meme coin. I hated the fact that there was a Trump. A Melania. I was like, these guys are they're putting a stain on the industry, and I thought it was very unfair. It's not what we had voted for. It wasn't the idea behind Bitcoin. Right? These are different cryptocurrencies, and what he is saying here is he's absolutely right. It is a form of a Ponzi scheme because it is Trump coin. I'm the central figure. I'm the guy. I'm going to promise you that because I'm president, I'm going to pump this coin to the moon. And so if you buy it today, you're going to get rich, man. That is absolutely a Ponzi scheme. He's absolutely right about that. Bitcoin doesn't have that same story, right? Trump coin did, Melania coin did, all that shit. He's absolutely right. They hold the majority of those coins. And that's why anytime you invest in a cryptocurrency, any cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin, you need to know who holds the majority of the coins. Where are these coins? And how does this system run? Right? If you see that the majority of the coins is held by the founders of that cryptocurrency, then it's probably scammy. You should look into that a little bit more. So it's very important that you ensure that whatever cryptocurrency you're investing in is truly decentralized. Bitcoin is fully decentralized. There are certain pockets that own a strong amount. Michael Saylor is trying to get to owning at least 1% of all the coins. Just 1%. That's all he wants. He wants to get to 1% of all the coins. That's how decentralized Bitcoin is. He's, I think, right now the biggest holder of Bitcoin besides Satoshi Nakamoto, who has 1 million coins. But again, 1 million coins is, it's not a majority of the coins, right? The dump happens if you hold the majority of your coins, and then you can dump it once it's pumped. So it's a pump and dump.
So those are actually smaller schemes. The bigger scheme was this stablecoin company. So stablecoins are this crypto that's really important for people to understand. It's basically a cryptocurrency that it's pegged 1-to-1 with a real currency like the US dollar. It's like a poker chip in the casino. It's like something you could gamble with. But it's also, if the president of the United States, the most powerful person in the world,
yes,
and you're selling the people on this product and they're buying it, why are they buying it? Well, one reason they're buying it is for access. Correct. So Trump threw a dinner with the top 25 investors in his coin.
They're not buying it, to be clear. They're exchanging it. They're exchanging 1-to-1. I'll take my $1 and I'll exchange it for a 1 USDC or USDT, which is, yes, a stable coin that's pegged 1-to-1 with the dollar. It's pegged by having a backing of US debt. So that's the idea, or the concept behind it, is basically these companies are buying a ton of US debt. They're the new buyers of US debt. My understanding, and I'm not 100% sure of this, is that as we get further in debt as a country, the other countries are looking around saying, oof, do we want to buy the US's debt? They seem a little shaky. They seem a little, I'm not sure if I want to continue buying U.S. debt. So I think China was our biggest buyer of debt. They've started to offload their U.S. debt and started to buy gold. And so the push, I think, for this, for stable coins has been these stable coin companies that you can transact stable coins anywhere in the world instantly. And it allows access to basically everyone in the world that with an internet connection to stable coins gives access to everyone in the world to U.S. debt. Essentially, right? Because these stablecoin companies are sitting on a bunch of U.S. debt, and that's how they're able to offer the coins. They're using the debt as an asset and saying, we own this debt, the U.S. government, it's a trusted government, they're going to pay us an interest, and while they pay us an interest, we'll give you the coins. And these companies basically make a ton of money. I think Tether is I think the most profitable company in the history of the world. I have to double check that, but I think they're the most profitable country in the history of the world because they literally buy, let's say, I'll give you a really simple example, $1 million worth of U.S. debt. They get paid 3%, 4%, and then they just give out $1 million worth. They keep the percent. They don't have to give out any type of interest on the USDT that they're offering, right? So it's a really interesting little program. I don't know too much about it other than that. But again, nothing to do with Bitcoin.
Something, and then went to one of his country clubs and had a fancy dinner. So he's literally pay to play, paying for access to the most powerful man in the world. Well, it's not only that, but the stablecoin got a $500 million investment from this sheik in Abu Dhabi. And so what did the sheik get out of it? Well, they got AI chips. They got NVIDIA chips through this, circuitous deal with Trump and his family. Yeah, and they got a pardon for the guy from Binance, actually. The guy that ran Binance, CZ, Changpeng Zhao, pled guilty to money laundering during the last administration and was done 4 months in prison, and Trump gave him a pardon. CZ's now in the UAE. So that's corruption. You know what I mean? Sure. That's a crime. Classic. It should be a crime. I mean, it's so big.
Yeah, sure. It's corruption as much as insider trading is corruption in the U.S. And we've seen that insider trading has been nuts within the stock market, especially the last 5 years, 6 years. Nancy Pelosi, the whole thing. I think everybody knows that story, that Nancy Pelosi is apparently the greatest trader of all time, better than Warren Buffett. And the speculation is there's a lot of insider trading happening. And so, again, does insider trading mean that the underlying asset that is being traded is fraudulent? No, Ben, no. You cannot conflate these things. It's wrong, it's incorrect, and it's misinformation. You cannot say because there are fraudsters within the Bitcoin space that Bitcoin is inherently fraudulent. That is incorrect, and it's dumb. It's a dumb comparison. You cannot do that, right? It doesn't make any sense to do that. So, again, making arguments that are just very base level. To me, it sounds more and more like he's just on a documentary tour or book tour, and he's really just trying to shill his stuff. And he did very little research on this, and it's very lazy investigative work, in my opinion.
That is so hard to fathom because it just blows any other precedent out of the water.
It's so cartoonish.
Yeah, and I mean, I really think it's worth, for crypto people that are still out there believing in it, if you're putting...
For crypto people that are out there still believing in it. In what? Again, in what, bro? What is it? In cryptocurrencies? Which one? There are hundreds of thousands of cryptocurrencies. Which one are you referring to? You cannot use a blanket statement. Again, this goes back to, for those of you out there still believing in cars, if you really think, if you still believe in it, if you still believe in cars, because a car shop fucked this guy one time. Ridiculous.
Money into something that Trump is backing because you think you're going to make money out of it, just know that he's a convicted fraudster. He's been convicted of 34 counts, 34 felonies in the state of New York by a jury.
Again, dumb argument,
just bear that in mind.
Just be aware of that.
Be aware.
Okay.
We've been talking big picture, but let's get specific. Let's do some crypto 101, shall we?
Love it.
All right. What is the white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, and why does it sound like a racist manual written by a Japanese dude?
That's a great question and a great way of
phrasing it. I mean, it's a wild thing to be like, read the white paper.
Yeah.
By Satoshi Nakamoto.
So
that is probably the dumbest. I've heard a lot of dumb statements within this podcast. That question that's just one of the dumbest statements ever. This guy doesn't know what a white paper is. White papers are typical on any research paper that anyone does. They're called white papers a lot of the times. It's a lot of times a proposal for a change or for an invention, a creation. The proposal is typically written on it's called the white papers. So the white paper of X. Again, the ignorance, the lack of education. Look, guys, I'm not a smart guy, dude. I'm not. I'll tell you right now. I am not a pseudo intellectual. I don't find myself to be an intellectually. I don't call myself an intellectual. Nothing like that. But these things are just these are really dumb arguments, statements these people are making, man.
A couple things about the white paper is like the first where Bitcoin originated. It was like a paper that was dropped on basically a chat group, a chat board in 2008, written by Satoshi Nakamoto. Who's Satoshi Nakamoto? We don't know.
We don't know.
So much speculation, so many bad documentaries about who is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
Most likely the person that was Satoshi is dead, in my opinion, because it was two cryptographers that not in any like malicious, like not in a way that's like a conspiracy theory. I'm just saying that it's probably one of these two guys. But anyway, whoever it is, we don't know who made it. They had all these nice things that they said about how it was going to change everything, but very quickly, like within 2 years, like it really comes out in 2009. But 2 years later, it finds a use case through criminal activity on the Silk Road, the dark web drug marketplace that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So like whatever the intentions of Satoshi, which could be a person, could be multiple people, we don't know. It was really quickly like co-opted by criminals, including Jeffrey Epstein, which we could talk about if you want.
Do you know what floss?
Sure, real quick. The use case, while this guy has his commercial, the use case in criminal activity is pretty typical for any new technologies, right? New things. That's again, using the Silk Road was a website on the internet. Does that mean that the internet is co-opted by criminals and only used by criminals? No, absolutely not. There's a use case for it in the criminal world and in the black market. Sure. The same way that there's a use case for cash in a lot of black markets to evade taxes, to evade having to show your identity. Yeah. As a matter of fact, still to this day, the most used currency for illicit activity is the U.S. dollar. And again, I want to make a very clear statement on this. That's not because the U.S. dollar is somehow inherently this, scammy, fraudulent thing. No, it's just the tool that's used. It's the currency. Again, that doesn't mean that that Bitcoin is fraudulent or only for black market use. It's just a use case. Criminals always have to be the most creative initially, right? They have to find the most creative thing to use to be able to evade the law. And so they're always looking for opportunities to be able to do things. And they're going to try and do anything they can. So when you see a currency come on the internet that is somewhat anonymous, you can use it and transact without having to deal with banks and KYC, at least at that time, then yeah, absolutely. It's going to draw or criminals are going to gravitate towards that, right? So that doesn't mean that the asset is inherently fraudulent. Guys, I'm going to cut it here. I have I've done already half of this video, so I'm going to cut it right here. And if you like so far what we've done with this one, like, subscribe, drop a comment. If you want me to do the rest of this video or another one that you guys would like me to make some comments on, let me know, and I'm happy to do it. This has been fun, actually. I've enjoyed this. So I'll be back on another video here soon where we're going to go do our budgeting for this week. I'm going to update my blog and my cash buys, and we'll keep the videos coming. All right, guys, have a great one.